According to Klaviyo, our emails generate more sales than 99% of our competitors. This is because we follow the new rules of email marketing. Most e-commerce brands are still doing email marketing as if it was 2020. And as a result, these brands are only generating 15 to 20% of email revenue. Meanwhile, the brands that are winning in 2026 are doing something completely different. And as a result, they are hitting 30, 40, or even 50% of their sales are coming from email. I know because we are managing them. And if you're playing by the old rules, you are leaving a lot of money on the table. Which is why in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what these new rules are, why you might want to follow them, and what to implement today to start making more sales with email marketing. So what's actually changed? Before we get into the new rules, let's talk about the old rules that don't work anymore. The old rule number one is to obsess over open rates. Open rates used to mean something, but now they don't. It's all just fairy dust. Apple's privacy changes, for the most part, broke open tracking. So they are not reliable anymore. At best, they are just a proxy in case you're getting 10% open rates and something is actually broken. But it doesn't really make any sense to optimize for open rates anymore. Old rule number two is to focus on beauty over sales, to make your emails as beauty as possible. For years, brands have been told that their emails should look like magazine ads, perfect design and everything on brand. And while these emails look good in a portfolio, for the most part, consumers and subscribers skip this because they look like ads, and people have been trained to ignore ads. And old rule number three is to treat email like a coupon dispensary machine. The old playbook was very simple and it used to work. Send discounts, send sales, send limited time offers, and that used to work until it didn't. Everyone started doing the same, and so this type of email no longer capture people's attention and start doing the opposite. These emails get boring really fast. And worst of all, these emails don't build the conviction needed for someone to buy at full price, which is what we want. So if the old rules are broken, what are the new ones? New rule number one, relevance is the new deliverability. Here's what some brands still don't understand. Getting into the main inbox is no longer a deliverability problem. It's an engagement problem. Gmail, Apple, Outlook, these are all trillion-dollar companies. They have the smartest engineers on the planet. And as you will expect, they have been building intelligent inboxes. Your inbox is now a personalized feed, just like TikTok, just like Instagram. And the algorithm watches what you engage with, what you open, what you don't, what you reply to, what you click, how much time you spend reading an email. And it uses all that data to know whether an email was good or not, whether it was worth the subscriber's time or not. So if your emails are not getting engagement, not getting clicks, not getting opens, not getting read, inbox providers like Gmail will eventually stop showing your emails. Not unlike the Instagram algorithm. So after you have covered the basics of email deliverability, the sending infrastructure, the solution to getting your emails open is sending emails people actually want to engage with. So engagement isn't a nice to have anymore. It's how your emails get delivered. So the question becomes how to create emails that people want to engage with. And that brings us to the second new rule. People are getting tired of getting marketed to in the same old way. They get hundreds of emails a week, and most of them sound like they were written by a committee, approved by legal, and sanitized of anything resembling a personality. And now with AI it's even worse. These emails sound awful and there are more of them in the inbox. So what is the solution? Sending emails that feel like they came from a real person. Here's how we do it at Email Engineers. I call this the inbox host strategy. So instead of sending all of your emails from the brand, start sending some from a real person, the founder, a team member, someone from customer support, but it has to be someone with a real face and a real name, someone they can trust and relate with. Because people trust people more easily than brands. And we recently did this with one of our clients. We have been sending designed emails exclusively for 2 years. They were a bit reluctant to try this because they have a huge brand and branding is super important. But nevertheless, they trust us and gave it a go. And these emails within the first weeks started generating 20% more revenue on average than previous emails. So at their stage, this is going to add an extra $300,000 to $500,000 per year using the inbox host approach. So it's mostly just text with maybe a few images in between the email or near the call to action. And here's why this works so well. Designed emails are like your storefront window. They look beautiful, they catch attention, and they hook people into your brand. Text-based email are the conversation that happens when someone actually walks in. They build conviction, they create a connection, and they are great for people who have yet to decide whether they want to buy or not. So this is the vast majority of your subscriber list at any moment. So this is why you need both. Designed emails get attention and text-based email closes. And with inbox host emails, you have the benefit of being able to go really in depth in your emails and make them super long if necessary. All while building conviction and getting someone closer to buying. And I realize this goes against everything we've been told as email marketers to do. To keep things short, to get to the point because people don't read. But here's what I've learned after 5 years of testing. Long isn't bad. Boring is bad. I could personally listen to an audiobook of Formula 1 all day long. But if you make me listen to a 2-minute audiobook about Korean pop, you've lost me. So length isn't the problem. When someone is still considering buying, providing compelling reasons to buy reduces that uncertainty. Short copy just says, trust me and buy. Long copy builds the case and makes buying feel inevitable. Some of our best performing emails are thousands words long. And they work because every line earns the next line. So the goal isn't to be short, it is to be engaging. Which takes us to the next rule. Now, here's the rule that almost no one talks about. And this is the new rule number 3. Your emails need to entertain first, sell second. This is really an unfair advantage and most brands are ignoring this. So think for a second what happened to Instagram. In the early days, Instagram was just all about aesthetic posts and beautiful photo shoots and you could get away with that. That is what brands did. And those posts, those images will still get a lot of reach and a lot of engagement. But then the algorithm started realizing what people actually wanted. And what was it that people engaged the most with? Entertainment, drama, humor, stories, observations about life, anything. So brands were forced to adapt or become invisible. Now, email has no algorithm forcing that evolution because email is still forgiving. A bad email sent to a big list still generates some sales. So most brands still stick to the old rules, promotional emails and discounts only, which is where the old rule doesn't work anymore. So entertainment lowers people's defenses. When someone is entertained, they are not bracing for a sales pitch. They're leaning in, they're enjoying themselves. And that's when persuasion can happen more easily. So think about stories for a second. Why are stories so persuasive and so good at changing someone's behavior? I will say it's because they keep people's defenses down. And that's what I mean by entertainment, by the way. You don't have to send a comedy routine via email for this to work. Entertainment can be simply a story about something that happened this week, a vulnerable story you're sharing, or a vulnerable customer story, or an observation about your industry that makes someone think. Drama, a problem, a conflict, and then a resolution if that's your positioning. So the bar is not be hilarious. The bar is simply be more entertained than the other 47 brands they are receiving emails from. So here are some examples of what we've done. For a client, rather than sending the typical social proof email that says the reviews are in, we sent one that said, here's the customer reviews Hall of Fame. And it did amazingly well because it doesn't feel like an obvious sales pitch. It doesn't feel like, hey, we're trying to persuade you to buy. Another one, and this is funny, this is for a sauna brand and one of our best performing emails that generated $20,000 in sales. What about a founder story and how he got motivated to start the brand after being in a health club sauna and turning over and watching an old man's testicles dangling. That was a story, that was entertaining, it worked for the brand, and it got massive results. Now, quick aside for a second, we've covered the first 3 rules. I know that knowing these rules and actually implementing these rules are 2 different things. So most people that reach me are what I call octopus operators. They have tentacles everywhere when managing ads, when managing products, logistics, customer support, their Google team, and and so on. So they simply do not have the time to implement everything that I said in my videos, which is why email gets pushed to next week and next week and next week never comes. So that is exactly who we help here at Email Engineers, my email marketing agency. We take email marketing and Klaviyo completely off their plates. From strategy, analytics, copy, designing, implementing inside Klaviyo, hitting send, optimizing, A/B test, and then we make sure everything converts and convert better than last month. And so revenue keeps improving every single month. So if you need an expert team to take email marketing off your plate and want to only invest an hour of your time per week managing email, mostly approving copy, approving designs, the link is going to be in the description. Back to rule number 4. The new rule number 4 is that your emails have to build conviction. Conviction is the sum of trust and desire. Trust without desire gets you in the friend zone. People might like your brand, think you're cool, but never really buy. Now, desire without trust, they want what you're selling, but something is off. So they still don't pull the trigger. So you need both trust and desire, and together that's conviction. And conviction is what makes selling easy. When someone has conviction, you don't need to sell them. You just need to show them the door. And there are some brands that focus on one or the other. They build trust by being helpful, being educational, giving value, and they get friends on. People love their content, but they buy from a competitor. Or they build desire with hype, urgency, scarcity, and people don't trust it because it just feels manipulative. So that is why you need both trust and desire, which, by the way, is why most cart abandonment emails do not work, because they appeal to forgetfulness. Hey, you forgot something in your cart, here's the link. But these people don't have amnesia. They didn't forget to buy. They simply don't have the desire or the trust yet. So this is why if an email doesn't build neither, don't send it. And finally, how do you know if any of this is actually working? New rule number 5 is that your metrics need to change. I already told you about how open rates are just a vanity metric and an outdated one. So what should we actually look at? My favorite metric is revenue per recipient. It's right there in Klaviyo, and this is the single most important metrics of them all. It's not opened and it's not clicks. Revenue per recipient tells you directly, for every person you send this email to, how much revenue did it generate. And by following these rules, we consistently generate 4 to 6 times more revenue per recipient for our clients, which is why we are perfectly okay with click rates going down if revenue per recipient is going up. Why? Because a sure way to increase click rate is to fill your emails with more buttons and more call to actions, and you will increase click rates. But we have tested this hundreds of times, and the results are always consistent. And even if you have a long email and have a lower click rate, but these clicks are super hot, that is way better than sending a lot of clicks to your product pages that are in the same undecisive state as they were before. Because we'd rather get someone read the entire email, build conviction, and then click, and then buy. Even if it's a smaller percentage, is way more likely to buy. So clicks are a vanity metric too. Revenue per recipient is what pays for inventory, pays for your team, pays for your ads, and pays the bill. Now, I want to give you a bonus rule, and this is a little controversial and might not apply to all of you actually. Your emails need to repel the wrong people. And this might sound backwards, but stay with me. Klaviyo gave us 2 red flags on a client account recently. It said we had a poor spam rate and a poor unsubscribe rate. So this will scare the pants off any email marketer. But we look at deliverability and it was completely fine. But most importantly, look at the other metrics. Open rate, excellent. Click rate, excellent. Conversion rate, excellent. And revenue per recipient, 4 times higher than average. We're getting more unsubscribes, yes, and it's still within the healthy limits, but we're making way more money than any of their competitors. Here's the thing, high conversion requires high emotion. You cannot get people to love something enough to buy without getting some people to hate it enough to live. The emails that convert also repel, and that's fine. And the emails that offend no one, they convert no one either. Indifference is the real revenue killer, not unsubscribes. So unsubscribes are people just being honest. They felt something, even if that something was, this is not for me. But the people who stay, they're engaged. They are brought in, which is why they convert 4 or 5 times higher than a lukewarm list. So don't optimize to try to keep everyone. Instead, optimize for keeping the right people in, the ones who actually want what you're selling. Now, if you want more specific and tactical tips you can implement today, click here to watch this video where I break down 32 tricks to make more money from email marketing and Klaviyo. things you can implement as soon as today to increase your conversion rate. I'm Matthias Matt Pirelli, founder of Email Engineers. See you there.